Hi, folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And I'm Mikey.
And I'm Gandalf the Grey.
Oh, got Gandalf here today.
Are you Gandalf the Grey or the White?
The Grey.
Okay.
Grey's way more fun to say.
Will you turn into the White by the end of this podcast?
If you piss me off, I will.
Wow. Folks, this episode of Saturday morning Samoflange is brought to you by Mark Addison Appraisals. Mark Addison Appraisals. How much is your home worth?
Mark Addison Appraisals. Corner to corner, wall to wall. Mark Addison does it all.
Well, we're going to continue our conversation from last week, and we're going to talk about worst movie sequels.
Oh, God!
I know, and it's going to be a huge gripe fest, and I can't wait.
The pain, the horror.
Middle Earth will be prepared for the greatest horrors ever known.
Wow, yes. And just like a good sequel, none shall pass when we're talking about these.
And, hey, wait a second. Is this the sequel to last week's podcast?
This is the sequel to last week's podcast.
Can I put this as one of the worst sequels of all time?
Yeah.
It's not even over yet. You're one of those guys. It's not even over.
I just know.
We have to let them decide that first.
Okay.
But before we start doing that, let's get to some of your questions. The first one, Rory asked, Matt, if you had to pick between 10 million, being on Survivor, or having the EU continued, which one would you pick? Now, I've had a while to think about this one, and is he saying win Survivor? Do you think he's saying win Survivor instead of being on Survivor? Because if it's just being on Survivor, I mean, heck, I'd pick the other two.
I think for the sake of argument, since you're getting $10 million and the EU expanded, let's assume the best for Survivor, and you're the winner of Survivor.
I'm the winner of Survivor there. Okay. Obviously, 10 million is a big one. I'd probably pick that over winning Survivor. That's $10 million. 1 million? No way. Title of Survivor. Title of Survivor the whole way. And then 10 million versus the EU. Now, this depends. Of course, I'm a big supporter of the expanded universe. I want it to continue. If it continues, we're talking $10 million here. What do you mean if it continues? If it continues like this one little book a year? I would like to be in control without pay, in control of saying, okay, how many books go forth, what books are coming out. We'll make sure we have enough books, content coming out in the Legends, now under the Legends universe here. And if I had that power, yes, I'd give up the $10 million.
Wow.
With no pay, I'm not saying I have to work for Lucasfilm. I'm just saying that I get to say, okay, we have X amount of books come out, and this is what they're going to be about. I would take the expanded universe.
You can do that while me and Gandalf go to the beach somewhere.
I'm telling you.
How many hobbits can you buy with $10 million, Gandalf?
Enough to start a war.
Oh my gosh, great answer.
I'm telling you, 10 million is great and EU's great, but I'm just saying, if I could buy like a $10 million jet ski, that would be better than the EU.
And that's why he didn't ask either of you. Okay, so
yes,
that was a great question because I did have to take some time to think about it.
I would actually like to give a shout out to whoever Rory is. Thank you for that question, because whenever Matt first read that question, you should have seen the big laugh and the big bellow, and the look on his face, because he was seriously concerned about how he was going to answer this question.
Oh, it was a good question.
He did not know. The expanded universe to him means more than money, and that's why.
That's right. But it's a very good, because I have to say seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously, 10 million. And where would I take it? Yes. Now, if you said, okay, well, we'll let Lucas Books take it from there. Well, how do I know if they're not going to come out with one ebook a year or something? That would tick me off. Now, if I could say, okay, we're going to have 6 books, and they're going to be about in this era, or we're going to do a book here or do a book there. Just a regular book flow that would come out, about 8 books a year or something. I would do that.
Yeah.
In a way. Without getting paid, I would do that in a heartbeat, because that is worth more than money. There's a few things that are worth more than money,
Name 3.
Name 3.
Yes.
The EU, of course, being expanded. This show continuing on.
That's right.
And Gandalf pulling up his pants. Please, we're doing this podcast. I know
Whoa!
it's on video.
I didn't know you brought your staff with you.
The next question was from Dak. What is your guilty pleasure movie, TV show, and game? I think we've talked a little bit about the TV shows. We were going to talk about games later on. That's a great question. And guilty pleasure movies we can talk.
Just give me one specific, just real quick, like a
game.
Yeah, just bam. You don't have to give any description of it.
We're doing games. Is that what we're doing?
Just one of each. He said movie. What's a guilty pleasure movie? Right
we've talked about TV shows. So guilty.
I'm not worried about what we talked.
Guilty
about.
Pleasure movie, Star Wars Holiday Special. There.
There you go. I like that too. That is a very guilty pleasure. All right. What's a game? Guilty pleasure game.
Guilty pleasure game right now?
Yeah.
Age of Empire.
Age of Empire. There you go.
The original.
Man, I don't know if I have anything I'm like not ashamed of.
Well,
anything I can call it guilty
I
pleasure.
came prepared. I did my homework. I'll give you a three right now. Guilty pleasure movie, Center Stage. Guilty pleasure TV show, Dukes of Hazzard. Guilty pleasure video game, Burger Time. Oh man, I can make them burgers all night long.
Yes. And do you know who makes good burgers?
Who?
Mark Addison's Appraisal Service. Folks, Mark Addison's Appraisal Service meet all your homing price needs. All right, so let's go off to the next question. Are any of us looking for Star Wars Battlefront? Are we looking forward to that? Me personally, I don't really play many of the games. So I'm more of a board gamer than a video gamer. So me personally, no. Mikey?
No, I'm not. All Star Wars video games have been a disappointment to me, with the exception of Knights of the Old Republic and maybe TIE Fighter Next Wing from the 90s.
Right.
So anything new that they do and anything new that they try has just not worked for me. So am I looking forward to it? No. Will I try it out? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of reserve the right to judge on games until I actually play it, because I thought Shadows of the Empire was going to be a terrible game, but I turned out actually really liking it. The one for the 64, if you guys remember that one.
Oh, yes, I did.
Shadows of the Empire was a very good one, but I'm in agreement with Mikey. Knights of the Old Republic, fantastic game. Like I said, Battlefront, I'd have to play it, but to be completely fair, yeah, there really hasn't been a good game since Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay, all right. Good questions, folks. All right, so let's get on to our topic of the day, which is going to be worst movie sequels of all time. Now, when we say worst movie sequels, these are movie sequels I don't think any of us would ever watch again. They were so bad. I'm not talking about movie sequels that are so bad they're good, like Troll 2 or something like that.
Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Yeah, we watch them and we laugh, but they're bad.
Right.
I'm not talking about those. Do not count. So I hope no one brought those.
No.
Because an enjoyable bad film is still enjoyable.
Right, like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. That's not on my list. Why? Because that's an awesomely bad sequel.
Okay. Well, this time I'll go first, and Mikey, you'll go second, and Gandalf, you will go last. Okay.
Bring up the rear.
Yes, that's exactly what you'll do, and bring up those britches too. Again, come on, Gandalf.
I told you I was wearing a robe this morning.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so for me, and I actually put them in order. You're
Did you
welcome.
Put them in order?
You're
I'm
welcome.
So happy
I know you are.
The host of the podcast has come prepared.
I didn't know we were going to put them in order last time. Okay, so here we go. The first one, number 5.
Number 5.
Blair Witch Project 2. The first one is so well thought out. It was original. It was unique. It had never been done before, something of that scale. The marketing for it to make you think it was real even had me confused.
So tell me a little bit more about this Blair Witch 2 and why you do not like it, Matt.
Okay, Blair Witch 2 was a studio's example of taking a great, unique idea and totally ruining it, thinking they could do better, giving it a budget with no story, soulless characters, and you didn't even care about the plot. I mean, it was complete disaster. I watched it like everyone else. I got excited. Oh, they're making a 2. I should have known. You cannot beat the uniqueness of 1. And 1 was a really scary movie. In fact, 1 is one of the few movies that actually scared me in the theaters and afterwards.
Yeah.
It was just so freaky because it was that point where the way they marketed it, you didn't know. Remember, they were putting up the missing signs of the kids on campus.
Right.
So you're thinking, wait, is it real? And then at first I thought, well, no, it's got to be fake. And then Sci-Fi came out with it was supposed to be it was like a behind-the-scenes Blair Witch, but it was interviewing the parents of these kids, saying they're suing the company because their children are still missing and they shouldn't release these tapes.
Right.
And I remember calling my buddy, going, "What? Wait, is this real?" I didn't know. So the whole time you're watching, you're going, "What is going on? This is what?" Well, you don't know.
It was the right time for a movie like that.
It was.
But the first Blair Witch is one of my favorite horror movies. It's one of the most successful independent movies.
It is.
I agree with you. Like I specifically remember the opening night whenever I saw that movie, or not the opening night, but the night I saw that movie. I lived in Bastrop at the time, and Tinseltown, this came out in 99, so Tinseltown was relatively new, so we drive all the way to Tinseltown, watch the movie, and as I'm driving home, it's really dark, it's about midnight or whatever. I've never done this before in my entire life. I actually was so scared that I could not drive all the way home to Bastrop, and I turned around and I went and I spent the night with somebody here in Monroe.
I know.
Which is weird because I don't feel that way and I don't act that way, but it was just the marketing for that movie was absolutely brilliant. It was right when the internet was getting big. You had no reason not to believe that this stuff was real, that what you were seeing was real, and all they did was do simple stuff like that. They made a whole website about evidence and footage and, like you said, those missing posters. Wonderful. Loved it.
And then the fact that they made a sequel, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be good. And then it's like, okay, Hollywood, let us try it. And they totally do not understand the concept or the success of the first one.
Right.
Everything is wrong in the second one. I will never watch that movie. You're going to let someone who bought it, of course it came on VHS. I bought it on VHS. Mm-hmm. I even bought the Blockbuster extra copy, which all the deleted Blockbuster exclusive scenes on it.
I
bought that one. I bought that one too because I was like, I got to have everything.
One of those at my house.
I got to have everything Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Blair Witch 2? No. I don't need nothing Blair Witch 2.
I actually disagree with you just a little bit on that one. Just a small rebuttal. For me, that's a very underrated movie. Mm-hmm. For a couple of reasons. Number one, you really don't need a sequel to Blair Witch, so the fact that they made it was kind of silly. I mean, the Blair Witch was mysterious, and it was interesting in the way that it ended. But the reason why I like Blair Witch 2 is because of the idea behind it. It was one of the first movies that I remember seeing where the story from the second one was about kids and moviegoers that watched the first movie and thought it was real and then went out to the woods. So it's like they capitalized on the phenomenon of the Blair Witch Project and what the movie was, even at the beginning with having like clips from MTV and Kurt Loder talking about how well the movie was doing and the hysteria that was sweeping the nation because of it. So the central characters in this movie are kids that want to go out to where the movie was filmed. So it was very meta. It was meta before it was meta. Now I will agree that towards the end it gets kind of silly. But
towards the end. You mean after the opening credits?
Hey,
after the opening credits, I think I lost interest.
Song played at the beginning. Disposable Teens.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. That is what redeems the movie.
Yeah. Hey, there's a flyover of
Gandalf. Will you take him to Mount Doom and just throw him into the lava?
Like the One Ring would be discarded.
All right, Mikey, go ahead. Give me your number 5.
My number 5 on worst sequels of all time is Transformers 2. Ooh. Revenge of the Fallen.
Is that the one with the Robo-Balls?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes, that's the one with the very racist twins.
Extremely.
And, normally I don't get into stuff like that. Like, I don't think that a lot of characters are racist and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this movie just sucked. I mean, and the first one was actually kind of a surprise hit. I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was pretty well made and it was interesting. And I think that having Peter Cullen come back and voice Optimus Prime was kind of a surprise for everybody. So when you saw the movie, you were like, man, this is kind of legitimate. It sounds just like Optimus Prime, so it kind of fit. So the first one had a kind of a good feel-good thing to it. And then when you get to the second one, it's just bigger, it's longer, and it's horrible. It's stupid. And this is coming from the guy that likes Michael Bay. But that movie is just trash. I will never ever watch it again.
Fun fact, if you showed me 5 minutes of 2 and 5 minutes of 3 and asked me to tell me which one was which, I would not be able to tell you.
Yeah, they are very similar.
They are very... It's just one whole...
Yeah, I
for
agree.
Me.
I agree.
Yeah,
all right. Gandalf?
Number 5 is going to be Boondock Saints 2. All Saints Day. I will never watch that again. And it just... You try to... It's like you had the Boondock Saints, which was like had this cult following. It's an excellent movie. But it's like you try to make lightning strike twice. And not only do you try to make lightning strike twice, you try to make it strike on almost an indie field. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Boondock Saints wasn't like a hugely I guess advertised movie.
No, it was a cult classic.
It kind of went under the radar.
It did. It gained its ground on video.
Yeah, and then but then you had Boondock Saints came back, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were talking about doing Boondock Saints for a long time.
They were.
And then finally did it, and it was just it was just bad, and it's nothing against the actors or anything like that because I love Willem Dafoe. Even though he was only in it for like a second, but and of course you had the original Saints themselves, but. It was stupid. I will never watch it.
Okay, you said correct you if you're wrong, and you're wrong on that. That is not the worst sequel. It is a bad sequel. It is not anywhere near one of the worst.
It's my
if
5.
you were to take out... Now, I'll be honest, it's not that good. It's not as good as the first one. But if you took out... Do this. Fast forward through the scenes with just the cops, and just the mafia, and just watch the Boondock Saints scenes. They're phenomenal. The gunfight at the end, excellent. Excellent. Actually, one of the best things about both movies was that gunfight at the end, teaming back up with their father and everything. And actually, the father scene with the old mafia guy in that dead garden, beautiful. There's a lot of good stuff, redeeming stuff from Boondock Saints 2. I agree, it's not a very good sequel as composed to the original. But if you, I'm going to quote the movie here, but the little Mexican guy they got with him and the two silencers, who ordered the whoop-ass burritos? Come on! Come
That
on!
is funny, and I think I rewound that part like 12 times.
It's
and watched it
funny!
over and over
But he's
again.
trying to come up with a tagline. And it shows him
Right,
just rewinding and trying to come up with the tagline every time.
But I see Gandalf the Grey turning a little bit white over here. You're starting to get underneath his skin a little bit.
Well,
I don't know,
it's like,
Gandalf, do
I
you
agree.
see the point
No,
there?
I agree with you, but that's not watching a movie. That's watching parts of a movie. If you take the whole movie, it's not a good movie.
I'm talking about from beginning to end, Blair Witch 2 sucked. And you know what? While I'm at it, let's get into movie number 4.
Let's do it.
Let's go, because I am reared up
Next thing
now.
on my list, go figure, is a brand new John Cena action figure.
White Fang 2.
Wow.
What the hell?
I just
What?
punched you in the
did.
gut on that
My
one.
God, you just went all like old school Jack London young adult on me. What?
I did. White Fang 2.
Is that, like,
It's
straight to
horrible.
video?
No, it got released in theaters. I know
Wow. You
because
dug deep.
I had to go see it with a friend of mine. I'd asked my two friends, I said, we don't hang out no more, let's go out to a movie. And we let her pick.
So you
And
said,
she
wait a
picked
second.
White Fang 2. And I
Let's
did
go to
not...
a horrible movie because I'll never see you
I
anymore.
did not know what to say because I hadn't seen her in a while. She was only going to be in for a few weeks, and then she's going to go. So you pick a movie, let's go. I was like, White Fang 2? Does anyone remember White Fang 2?
No,
Did
I
you
didn't
even
know.
know there was a White Fang
Until that
2?
just
No
came out of your
idea.
mouth, I had no idea.
And it came out in theaters because I saw it. It's an Alaskan tribe, and of course the bulldozers are taking over their land. The classic story. White Fang has to save them. Oh, and in one spot, White Fang jumps off a cliff, gets in touch with his Indian wolf dog spirit, and turns into an eagle.
Wait. I want to watch this now. Like,
Yeah,
what are you
I
talking-
gotta see that now.
How is that bad?
Everything about it is bad. It was like someone just taking your face and putting a hot iron on it. You just wanted to scream sometimes. It
Wow.
was so bad. I would have tapped out
I'm going to watch that. I'm
at
gonna
the
watch
very
that.
beginning. It was
Yeah.
horrible. It's a horrible... Don't watch it.
I'm going to watch it.
Don't... Okay, get
I
some
have to.
tissue because your
I have
eyes are going to bleed
Why-
Oh, are they?
while you're watching it. It's horrible.
Wow.
All right, go.
My number 4 is The Exorcist Part II, The Heretic. Now, this is kind of an interesting definition, in my opinion, here. When we talk about worst movie sequels, are we talking about just that the movie itself is just horrible and it's trash, or that the original was so good and the second one really didn't have anything to do with it? I guess it's kind of like a mixture of both.
Yeah.
This movie came out, after The Exorcist, which is my number one favorite horror movie of all time. I still think it holds up. It's creepy. It pushes all
I
the
agree.
right buttons. And it actually has the same little girl, Linda Blair, and Reagan is the character's name. And then I believe it has one or two of the same characters. But it's just horrible. Like, even the director has come out and said that he is sorry that he made this movie, that it's not scary. All it does really is take place a few years afterwards, and Reagan is in a hospital, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with her and why she's been possessed, and why she's having all this kind of like PTSD from the first possession, and it's just slow, and it's boring, and it's stupid, and I'll never watch that trash again.
I agree. It's a failed sequel is what I would put that in, classify that as. They were trying to go in a different direction. Of course, they're trying to explain the evil a little bit
Right.
more, give it a background. It was very
But that
slow.
hurts
It didn't
movies
work
a lot
out.
Of times. Like, leave it to the imagination. Like, nothing else needed to be explained.
And it was failed in the way they thought, okay, people are going to go see it because it's The Exorcist. So we can create this big, deep story, and they left out all the scary, and they left out all the interesting plot. But they felt that they had something, and they didn't. It just came out wrong.
It did.
Worse is a failed one.
And that happens a lot where, people want to make a sequel and they have good intentions and they try to take it in a different direction. and it just fails.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again, but someone else would have to suggest it.
Well, that was actually me, I would say, a couple of years ago whenever I got a little bit older and I was like, you know what, I haven't seen this since I was like a teenager or whatever, let me try it again. Because, to be honest with you, a lot of movies that I did not like when I was younger, when you get a little bit older, you kind of have a different respect for them. You can start to see movies in a different light. So a lot of movies like that I like to try again. I tried this one again a couple of Halloweens ago.
Still
and I was
failed.
Like, yeah, I was
Still
like, never
bad,
again.
man.
I was like...
Once bad, always bad.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, my second one is going to be Matrix Reloaded. Hated it.
Yeah.
Hated it. Now, that's not to say, like, if they were showing Matrix Reloaded on TV and I had nothing else to do, I might watch it. I still wouldn't enjoy it. Matrix Reloaded 2, it wrote a lot of checks that it just didn't cash. And it had a couple of good fight scenes. I liked the scene where he was in the mansion. He pulled and he, was fighting all those different agents, and he had the scythe and everything, and he used the swords and all this kind of stuff. But it really should have been cool, and they hyped it up. But no. And for that matter, the third one was terrible also. But compared to the first one, you're going to say you liked it.
I'm not gonna say I liked it because I do agree with you. It does have some faults, but overall, I would watch that movie again. I thought it had a lot of cool scenes in it and stuff. I agree it did have its faults. It was not as good as the first one.
It had some cool scenes.
And none of them, and I think the third one was even worse.
Yeah, it was.
So I think they all took steps down, and it would be a while before I watched those again. But the second one, if you delete a few scenes like the man cave rave scene, which made absolutely no sense.
That's what bothered me the most
in
about
the
that
entire film. It made no sense.
Look,
we're gonna party like it's MTV, yeah. And you're going, what?
It's like the
Spring
beginning
Break
of Blade
Underground.
without
Look,
Wesley Snipes and the cool disco music.
It's like, what the hell? Okay, we've been invested in this movie since The Matrix. Okay, we've been talking about all this a group of people, these people who are living underground, and they're not attacked by the robots. They're not living in those pods and getting harvested for energy. And we're looking at the last people alive underground, and they're doing that.
I know, that was totally ridiculous. I mean, I was totally turned off. The sequel took a step down immediately after that scene. You delete that scene and probably something at the end there.
Well, the biggest
and
problem...
I would be okay with it.
The problem, in my opinion, with those two movies, like, they're kind of in a middle section for me. Like, there's a lot of movies that are not good sequels and they're big letdowns, but in my opinion, like, I wouldn't call that like the worst sequel in the world, because it still has some redeeming factors to it. But this happens a lot with these sequels where the first movie is so good and it doesn't need a sequel. Like, some movies can kind of lend itself to a second one and people come up with good second ideas and it kind of works well. I mean, if we just go back to what we were talking about before with The Godfather or Star Wars and things like that, like good continuations of the story. But when you get to something like The Matrix, I've said this ever since I saw that they were making a second one. Well, let me rephrase this. Ever since that I saw the second one sucked. Because let's be honest, whenever the second one came out, before it came out, we were all like, man, like this is going to be good. Why? Because the first one was awesome. But now whenever you look back on it, it's like the first one was an absolutely perfectly wonderful standalone science fiction movie that did not need to be expanded. And it really, those two later movies ruined the legacy of what the first one was.
That's true.
And I'll take a cue off of what you said, like a standalone movie and an iteration to come after it. The best thing to happen after The Matrix was the Animatrix. It didn't deal with the same characters.
I agree, that was good.
But that was a fantastic like offshoot. It's still in the Matrix universe. You're dealing with the same lore, but it's that was a great movie. But
yeah, and if I think you've been sipping too much tea with the Hobbits, I don't know, man. Anyway, number 3. Cube 2.
Did they make a part 2 of that?
Oh, look at that! Yes, they did.
Stumped me again.
Yes, they did. I stumped you again.
Okay.
The first one I thought was brilliant.
I don't know. I think Matt's got it as a disadvantage. White Fang 2, Cube 2. I've never seen these.
I'm sorry, but hey, to my defense, though, Blair Witch 2 and White Fang 2 both came out in theaters.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm cheating here and going like Cinderella 3 or something.
All this really means is that he just watches a lot of crappy movies.
No, that means no. I appreciate Cube. I love Cube when it came out. The original is well done. It's captivating. It has a good story plot. The characters are interesting. And honestly, it was much better than I thought, especially when I realized they were shooting it in the same room the whole time. I thought they had 3 or 4 rooms they would dive into, but it was just the same room they were using. Just
what old
color it differently.
Dragged you to Cube 2?
No one dragged me to Cube 2. Cube 2, as far as I know, came straight to video. but it was called Hypercube, and it was more in space, and it was more weird, and it just totally captured no magic from the first one. Didn't even try to explain the first one or go forward any. Like now it's space cubes, so they're different. Instead of the old, you had to twist and open the door, and it was hardcore. The traps were rudimentary. You could understand mechanical.
Right.
Well, these are like traps. Oh, you're trapped in the dream world, and now you're floating in space, and you're dreaming about being caught on fire. What?
Mm-mm.
I don't understand. And so it has so many different and weird plots to it and twists that you really didn't understand. And then, secondly, you stopped caring because it was just so dumb. And it had a lot of the rave scenes from Matrix Reloaded in there. Oh no! Seriously, don't watch it.
No, White Fang 2, I will watch.
Stay with
I
Q.
will not watch.
Don't watch it. All right, what's your 3?
Even your description of it just almost put me to sleep.
Well,
I'm like,
that
movie sounds that bad. I'm just like, no way.
It is bad. It's bad.
You
it
should
was
have
not
lied and
thought
said
out.
you had a girlfriend you took to the movie. Then I would have been interested in that story.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Just
Well,
made up that somebody rented that and made you watch that.
Try and solve the puzzle of her cube.
No one made me watch that. That was something I wanted to watch.
Number 3 on Mikey's list. And now I'm actually going a little bit against the grain on this one. Everything up to this point and in the future are direct sequels. This one, it's so bad, it's so atrocious, it's so just excruciatingly awful that I had to go to the 4th movie of a franchise. Actually, probably a little bit more if you take the older ones into consideration. And we're going to go 1997's Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
I just could not keep that off my list because
it was bad.
It's just bad.
It's bad.
It stunk in every way imaginable. And George Clooney, God help him, is one of the coolest. Seems like one of the coolest dudes on this planet, and certainly a wonderful actor. But I mean, that Batman with those bad guys in that direction. I don't even have anything to say about that.
I thought this movie would pop up, and I'll be honest, someone paid for my ticket to go see Batman and Robin. I did not want to see it because I knew already it was going to be terrible, and I still feel like I got cheated from it.
Yeah. When you watch a movie for free and you still feel like
I still feel like I got cheated.
That's awful.
But I'll be honest, I have seen Batman and Robin 2 or 3 times since then.
And it got worse every time.
It's not that good, but it still gets watched. I don't know why, but it still gets watched.
It's colorful.
So I wouldn't have it in my top 5, but I agree it's a terrible movie. It's a terrible
wasn't in that movie. And just like
Bane is a joke in that movie. He's just a throwaway character.
Well, and Poison Ivy was in that one too.
Yeah. And so
Uma Thurman did okay.
I mean, she wasn't bad.
Poison Ivy, but the thing was, the whole film was just a disaster.
Yeah, that wasn't enough.
And like a lot of people didn't like Batman Forever. I loved Batman Forever. I'm such a big fan of Jim Carrey, and I thought he nailed the Riddler.
Batman Forever is a much better film looking back over it because I actually like Val Kilmer too as
he wasn't
Batman.
All that bad.
Bruce Wayne, he was a good Bruce Wayne.
Yes, I agree.
And so, coming off of that one, I think a lot of people, like you said, thought that Batman and Robin probably would suck because they didn't like Forever. I was kind of blindsided because I saw, Nicole Kidman, Val Kilmer, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey. They made it work in Forever. Why couldn't they make it work in Batman and Robin? But it was just poop. It was boo-doo.
Gandalf, number 3.
Number 3 is going to be The Mask 2.
Ooh, Son of Mask.
Yeah, Son of Mask.
With Jamie Kennedy.
And that is not because I actually happen to like Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, he's okay.
Like, that movie's just, the writing's bad. It's just, to me. I wouldn't watch it again. I mean, coming off the heels of The Mask and Jim Carrey and all of his comedic timing, he's a genius when it comes to comedy, especially in film. And you have The Mask 2 come out, Son of the Mask. It was just disjointed. It was stilted at best, and I just didn't like it.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was stupid. There was no reason for it.
All right, you're giving me a look like you're
going
to agree.
Gandalf, here's what I'm going to talk to you about. I never saw it, so
okay, all right.
There we go. Now we're getting even, right? Because I never saw that one.
Yeah,
I probably agree. It's probably going to be bad.
Did you enjoy The Mask?
Well, the original Mask achieved great status because of Jim Carrey. Now, I mean, I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan. Either you like him or you don't. There's a lot of people that don't. But, it's not that it was a great movie, the original Mask. It was just all fueled by Jim Carrey's manic slapstick action. And
there was another reason to watch The Mask.
Well, there was Cameron Diaz.
That's the only movie she looks good in.
You know what? I'll agree with you 100%.
I do not think she looks good looking unless it's in The Mask.
No, she
That's
looks
the
good
only time she looks good.
Because she looked like a normal person. She was I think 22 years old. She had just gotten discovered. She had a little meat on her bones. She was just kind of a normal person. Now she's kind of skinny skinny and weird looking and
Yeah.
googly eyes. And
But
her
she was
cheeks are
always
off.
like that, even with
It's kinda
something
like
about Mary.
Skeletor.
I didn't.
Wait, is that Skeletor? Did Skeletor just come into the room?
No one talks about me like that.
Get out of here, Cameron Diaz.
I did
Leave.
great. I did great in that movie, He-Man.
We're doing a podcast, Skeletor. Get out of here.
Okay.
I'll have my revenge.
What was that? Skeletor just came in here and then left.
I think he
I
farted
don't know.
too.
I don't know.
Jeez.
That was weird. But even Skeletor's appearance is brought to you by Mark Addison Appraisals. Mark Addison's Appraisals. What's in your house? Okay, so let's go on to number 2. Are you ready for this?
Wait, I need to say it one more time. Cameron Diaz in the mask.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Good looking.
Way to steal my thunder there. Okay, so number 2, Neverending Story 3.
Oh, never seen it.
Yeah, never seen
Sequel.
it.
Never seen it?
No.
Please don't. Did you love Neverending?
You
Please
weren't
don't.
even mad about
Yeah.
it. You're just like, please,
Just don't. Do yourself a favor.
No,
Please.
no, seriously.
If you're my
Please
friend,
don't.
please
It will
don't watch
ruin Neverending Story. I mean, I love the first movie.
I know you do.
I think it's
Yeah.
brilliantly done. The second movie didn't bother me. It's a step down from the first, but it follows the book more closely than the first one does.
They had books.
It was a book.
Yeah.
Was it a
And
book
Neverending Story
before?
was part 1 of the book, and Neverending Story 2 was part 2 of the book.
I never knew that.
And Neverending Story 2 kind of went a little slower, got a little weirder, but that's because they followed the book a lot closer in the second movie. Now, in the third movie, which did have a theatrical release, was horrible. Stars a younger Jack Black who plays a bully. So that's the only little interesting tidbit there. Everything else about it sucks because the Neverending Story characters, or some of them, come into the real world. So the princess, who is this, strong, wise ruler, she's very mature, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this one, she comes in the real world and goes, "Oh, what's this? Credit cards? Let me go shopping. Oh, I like this thing called shopping with my credit
So
card.
this is basically like the Clueless meets Neverending
It was
Story.
horrible. Oh, and then the Rock Monster has Junior Rock Monster, and they're going, heading on the highway, looking for adventure, born to be wild, doing it. And it's all just like it's like Sesame Street presents Neverending Story, and it was
On crack,
horrible,
it sounds like.
horrible. If you like Neverending Story, do not watch this. It'll break your childhood.
I like how you've gone obscure with your lists here. Like,
Yeah.
you've gone way off the beat
I'm
path.
going
I
with
like that.
movies.
No,
I'm
I
going
like
with
that.
movies I will never watch again. And I wish that movie was never
Right.
even made. George Lucas wants to break every copy of Star Wars Holiday Special. I want to break every copy of Neverending Story 3. I want to smash it with a hammer, and I don't want anyone to watch it. Seriously, folks, for your safety, do not watch this. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible film. It just makes a mockery. It makes a mockery of the first film. And that is an insult
That is
to me.
not a
Would
ringing
not watch it.
endorsement of the third
It
one.
almost got number 1,
Ooh.
but there's
Wow. If that
But
did
there
get
is
number
another-
one.
there
I'd
is
like
a
to
number
see there is
1.
another. Speaking of the Star Wars Holiday Special real quick, I watched that again this Christmas, and you know what I noticed that I've never noticed before?
B. Author's hot.
Well, God, I've noticed that a long time ago. What are you talking about?
B. Arthur.
Yeah.
And then there's more.
Everybody's watching Golden Girls thinking Blanche is sexy. I'm like, no, give me some of that
Oh,
Dorothy.
Stanley.
Yes. There's no place like home, Dorothy. There's no place like home. Yes. So anyway, what I noticed about Luke Skywalker in his one little section when he's, fixing the
Yes.
stuff or whatever, he looks just like Ellen DeGeneres.
What?
Wait, no, I'm dead serious. Go back and watch this. He's like so heavily, like he's got makeup. I don't know what they did to him. Like his hair swoops over. He looks like a 35-year-old, like about a 15-year ago Ellen DeGeneres. It's amazing. Watch
my
it.
God.
Number 2 on my list is Speed 2: Cruise Control. I'm telling you, this movie stinks to high heaven. Okay, the first movie, this is a true story, everybody. Everybody out there in Samoflange land, listen up. Speed came out in 1994. It starred Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Everybody knows that. It's a great popcorn action flick.
It's great.
I love that movie.
Fantastic.
So I was about 15 whenever I watched it. I was young, impressionable, nubile. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I watched Speed on VHS. At the end of it, after they save the day, Keanu Reeves goes and saves Sandra Bullock, and she's laying on the ground, and he picks her up and kind of puts her in his arms and is talking to her. I cried. And then I decided right then and there, yes, I cried at Speed. And I decided at 15 years old that I wanted to be an actor. So that's
I thought you were gonna say that I was gonna marry Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, I thought it was going that way too.
Because I was gonna go, well, that's Ditto. Yeah.
No. This is a real personal story here. That's when I decided that I wanted to be an actor. Right after that, I went to the Rose Theater in Bastrop, signed up to do a show. It was called Hurricane Smith. I was some ancillary character, and then that's how I became what I am today.
Wait, are we getting your origin story?
Yes, I'm telling you my origin story right now. So I'm just telling you why Speed 2 is this high up on my list. Because the first one changed my life. Then when you get to Speed 2 Cruise Control...
He stopped acting for another 5 years.
Well, I think I might have been a great actor and went on to Hollywood and done some great things, but then Cruise Control...
ruined everything.
Yeah, it was like a speed bump into my speed. It just... Actually, more it was like a crash test dummy wall. All right,
like
so I'm not even going to really explain this movie to everybody because I'm sure y'all have all seen it, probably on TBS. But no more Keanu Reeves, Jason Patrick. They're not on a bus. They're on a cruise ship that's like heading for like an oil rig. It's awful. And Sandra Bullock has now won a Best Actress award at the Academy Awards a couple of years ago for The Other Side. But in that movie,
You mean The Blind
The
Side?
Blind Side.
Yeah, The Blind Side. The Other Side? What am I thinking of?
The Other Side of what?
Wait 1 minute, it was called The Blind Side.
Anyway.
Skeletor's back?
Anyway, I agree.
I'm so verklempt over here about, talking about my past. I'm a little bit kind of...
He's a little exasperated. Do you need some water?
Speed 2 was on my list. It debuted at 4, but then I found 2 other movies that bumped it out. Number 2.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Ugh.
Absolutely horrible. And the thing is, I'll tell you more. I'll tell you more about it.
You're right, man.
Man, look, number 1 was exactly how Ninja Turtles, if it was going to be brought into this live-action world, how it needed to be. It was dark, it was gritty, it was fantastic.
Still a good movie. I think it holds up.
It still holds up. Number 2, in fact, it still holds up as well.
I agree with that completely.
Number 2 still holds up. When you watch number 3, you can't. They did something weird with the puppets. It just...
All right, and I agree with you again on this one. This is another one we agree with here because that was number 5 until it got bumped off. Okay. So it would be on my top 10 if we had a top 10. Because I love the first one. I agree with you on all points on the first one. The second one, redeemable. Wasn't as good, but stepped down.
It was a letdown, but now when you look back on it, it's gotten better.
It wasn't that bad. There's a lot of good scenes in it.
And it's got Vanilla Ice.
The third one.
Yes.
Hello.
Absolutely.
The third one has 2 redeeming qualities, and that's it.
I think I know which one you're going to say.
What?
The one where he's walking through the city and he's like, demon?
Yes.
Eastwood?
Yes, the one scene where Michelangelo and the villain pass each other on the road, and the stranger looks up, and Michelangelo looks up, and they're cutting cameras to each one's faces, and he goes, "Demon," and Michelangelo goes, "Clint Eastwood." That's the only part you laugh in the whole movie. And then the second one, Casey Jones comes back just for one cameo, but it was nice to see Casey Jones from the first movie. That made my heart skip a beat because it was at the beginning. I was like, oh, maybe this will be good. Oh, no, it won't.
No, it won't.
Oh, they've got freckles. What?
Yeah, what happened there?
It's horrible. It's a horrible film. So I totally agree with you on that.
Oh, we at number 1?
Yes, we're at number 1 now. So number 1, the worst sequel ever.
I'm really interested to see what this is.
Christmas Vacation 2.
Oh, the straight-to-video Cousin Eddie.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, and you love those movies.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Mm-hmm. Now, first one, this is the same reasons for Neverending Story 3. Christmas Vacation 2 is just, it's sinful how it almost takes away from the first one in a way because it's like, how dare you even put the name Christmas Vacation 2 on here? You know, since the first one is such a great film and such a it's comedic timing, it's got everything. The first one's got everything. The sequel has nothing. Nothing. In fact, it's so bad that me and my buddy, after renting it, played a game with people. And the game was how many other people we could get to watch it. And we'd tell people how Christmas Vacation 2 was the best movie we'd ever seen and that they should rent it too. And then when they would rent it, they'd go, "What are you talking about? That movie was awful." I said, "Yes, and now you're in the know. So now you got to get one other person to watch it." It was a practical joke. We use it as a practical joke.
That's an awful game to play with people.
It's an awful,
I'm glad I wasn't
horrible
your friend.
game. I know.
Whenever we were like,
well, I lost a lot of friends at that time. But
no wonder you have so many Star Wars.
But I have only seen it once. I will only watch it once. Mm-hmm. But and my days of recommending it are over unless actually Gandalf. you need to watch Christmas Vacation too. I think there's some stuff in there that, now thinking back on it, I think there's a lot of stuff you would love about it. That's correct, but that is my number one. Mikey?
Okay, my number one is Bad Boys 2.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I should have seen that one coming.
All right. Now, I do love Michael Bay, yes. But I like Michael Bay for reasons like Bad Boys 1, The Rock, Armageddon. I even like Pearl Harbor. Pain and Gain was good. First Transformers was good. But, man, whenever he makes bad movies, he makes really bad movies. And Bad Boys 2 is a really bad movie. Nothing wrong with Will Smith. Nothing wrong with Martin Lawrence. This movie right here proves that bigger and longer and better and more guns and more explosions and more deaths and more cussing and more this and more that, more fluff does not mean better. The first Bad Boys was a well-structured, streamlined, but it had a little bit of a Michael Bay flair to it, action movie. It was interesting, it was fun, it had a good soundtrack, like it just flowed real well. When you get to the second one, it's about 2.5 hours long, and it's just an assault on your senses. One gunfight after another, after another, after another, after another, and it becomes just a chore to watch. Like, it doesn't take you on any type of roller coaster ride. It doesn't let your senses relax. It just keeps going up and up and up and up like a roller coaster that never lets you drop down. And it's horrible. It's just bad. Like, it makes me want to punch
a kitten in the face.
I want to punch a kitten in the face. I want to name that little kitten Michael Bay. I'm going to be like, hey, Michael Bay. And he's going to be like, meow, meow. And I'm going to be like, how you doing this morning? And they're going to be like, meow. And I'm going to grab its stupid little neck, and I'm just going to punch it. Yeah, it's not even going to be like a loud, like, karate movie pop. It's just going to be like, poof. But it's going to be right in this little kitty Michael Bay face.
Ooh, Gandalf, number one.
Bloodsport 2.
Wait, what? There's not a Bloodsport 2.
Yes, there is.
There's a Bloodsport 2?
The next Kumite. Look
What?
it up.
I'm Googling it right
Listen,
now.
okay.
Talk to me. Talk to me about
all right.
Bloodsport 2. Does that have Frank Dukes in it?
No, it's completely different. It takes place Thief. Hold on, I wrote down his name. I can't remember the character's
What
name.
makes it bad, though, Gandalf?
Because it's not Bloodsport 1.
I mean, all right, you sold me.
Good
on
night,
that.
folks. That's it. Thank you for coming.
Listen, okay, so you have there's a thief named Alex. He steals an ancient katana, and he gets sent to prison for it.
Right.
All right. He makes one friend, Master Sun, and he teaches him the Iron Hand, and then they try to compete in the next Kumite.
Holy cow.
And
Bloodsport 2, the next Kumite.
It has Pat Morita in it, but then Bloodsport 2, and it really isn't. It's not a good
check
movie.
this out.
It's terrible.
There's a Bloodsport 3.
Oh, well, I don't even want to know about that. Oh my god.
So no Bloodsport
No
tour.
Bloodsport 2, because it's not
No.
Bloodsport 1.
There-
Kumite!
So there you have it. Our worst sequels ever. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have some honorable mentions that you folks would like to talk about? Go ahead and put them in the comments, and we will definitely go over them when the time is right.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, the time is always right to find your spouse that new house. And you can do that through Mark Addison Appraisals.
Corner to corner, wall to wall. Mark Addison does it all.
Folks, that's it for today. We will see you next week on some Saturday morning Samoflange.